Okay, so in our last video we made this very basic number plate here. What we'll have a look at now is how we can 3D print that by creating a thing called an STL. Okay, in other words, a 3D object that can be sent to a 3D printer. So to start off, let's go to a more 3D view like that. And it's still a two-dimensional design. To make it a three-dimensional design, we need to use something called Extrude, right? And Extrude's a 3D tool. So our 2D tools are under the pencil, whoops, whereas our 3D tools are under the sphere. So I pick the sphere, I pick Extrude, the first one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude the letters first. So I press on each of the letters. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Oh. Okay, you do have to be a little bit patient with this. Press on each of the letters. There we go. So they're my letters. They are way too tall at the moment. So I'll go to here where it says Extrude 1. And I'll pick 5mm rather than 25 there. That looks much better. Now, at the moment, that is not really working for me, because I've got the letters but I don't have the back plate. So I'm going to say tick there, and then I'm going to create a new extrusion, and I'm going to do that for the back plate itself, and I'm going to set that to be slightly lower than the letters. So I'll set that to be 3, and then I'll press tick. Okay. So you might think to yourself, well, there you go, I've got my 3D design. But if we look at that carefully, we can see that they're all a different color. The letters are a different color, the back plate's a different color. And what that's telling us is that that's not actually one shape. In fact, if you look over here, that's where it says parts, that's 6 separate shapes. So we can't 3D print 6 separate shapes, we 3D print one shape, which is one number plate. So what I'm going to do is I'll get rid of that last extrusion I just did. And I'm going to redo that. I'm going to press on that back plate. I'm going to set it to 3mm like I did before. But then I'm going to go to up the top where it says result body operation type. And I'm going to press there. And rather than new, which creates a new part, I'm going to click add. And as well as doing that, I'm going to go down here. And I can do one or two things. I can either tick merge with all, which will just join this with all of the other objects, so in other words, all of the other letters. Or if I didn't want to do that, I could untick that. And I could say, go down here to where it says merge scope. And I could just press on all of the things that I want to join it to. And the way that I know I've done it properly is if I look over here, there's now just one part, whereas before there were 6 parts. Okay, so there's 2 different ways you can do that. So I'll press, almost ready to press tick, but if I just look at that there, you can see that there's a hole in the middle of the O and a hole in the middle of the R. So it's not quite finished. If we printed it off now, we have a great big hole in that number plate. So I'm just going to press on. I'm going to create one more extrusion. So I'm going to go to extrude again. I'm going to press there. This is going to be part of my back plate, so I'll set that to be 3. And then I'll do the same thing over here and set that to be 3 as well. And I'll make sure it's set to add. And I'll make sure that merge all is on. And I'll press tick. And now I've filled up those holes. And I've still only got one part over there, okay? So it's gonna 3D print as a single number plate. So that's good. I'm ready to go now. So now I can get it into a format where it's ready to print. So I go over to here where it says part 1. I'm gonna press on the 3 little icons there, and I'm gonna go to where it says export. When I do that, I wanna make sure of a few things. I wanna make sure that the options are set to download, the units are set to millimeters, and the file format is an STL. There's a whole bunch of different ones there. I'm going to pick STL because that's like the standard thing that 3D printers like. Every 3D printer can print a STL file. and then I'll just call it number plate. And then from there I can go export and save it to my iPad. I go yeah. And then from there, it'll be saved to my iPad. I can, send it to a 3D printer or however it works. It's all ready to go. And just to check what it looks like, let's have a look. Yep, there you go. So that's my number plate. So yeah, that's just a brief little introduction to how you can create 3D objects. I just thought I'd do that while we were here, although we'll be using it mainly for laser cutting.